What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Andrew Cordero coming in with another episode of Get to Know Me. So, if you're tuning in for the very first time, my name is Andrew Cordero. I am level 27 in this game of life that we play, and here's the truth: I keep everything authentic. I keep everything real. I don't edit. I should edit at times, but the reason why I wanted to create this series is because, again, a lot of people portray one way, one image that they are on social media, and I wanted to show people that it's not always rainbows, butterflies, and all those good surprises. So life kind of throws you for twists and turns, on expectations, and you know what? The truth of all of this is that you got to learn how to make your peace by going through it all, because there's the trials and tribulations of your own life that nobody can truly understand, because nobody will understand the true mental power that you have, but also quite the opposite. Nobody understands the true, I don't know how to say it, but nobody understands the true nature of how much we will actually hurt ourselves in life, right? And so in this series, Get to Know Me, I want to release basically everything so that somebody that's watching this can get that healing and get that correlation between my life and their life and say, holy shit, I'm not the only one going through it. So that's why I've created this series called Get to Know Me. And today I really want to talk about like my past, all right? Because everybody seems to run from the past, but you know what? The past has made me who I am today presently, and it's helped shape me to what I want to become in the future. And so I'm going to say it straight up here, we've all made our mistakes, and we've all made our, things in life where we may not be as proud as what we thought we could be. And that's okay, because this is part of learning. This is part of growing. An example, if you don't correct somebody when they do something wrong for the very first time, or something that bothers you for the very first time, if you don't correct that, it's just going to continuously keep going. And the reason why it's going to continuously keep going, because most human beings are in a subconscious programming where they just keep walking on through in life. And this is not any fault to you. This is not any fault to the stars. This is just how life works out, right? And we have the ability to look at it and step away from our emotions, because the moment we get our emotions involved, right? Like, you never mix emotions with business. But the reason why you don't want to do that is simply based off of this. When you get your emotions involved, that's when your thinking process, that's when you start clouding your vision. You start clouding what the message is actually being delivered. Now, listen, straight up, if somebody's being a dick, they're being a dick. But it's about choosing if you want to react to that battle, or if that battle is really worth it. And here's the thing. What people need to understand is that through life, through high school, through elementary school, through your adult years, we don't learn these things until they happen. And that's what makes life really hard, is that we can't expect the unexpected. But we try to. We as humans, I remember, growing up as a kid, to my teenagers, to my young adult, I thought money was everything. And, I had a real financial struggle at 19 years old. And, I held it over myself, and I really kept myself down because I thought money was everything. Again, why did I think this? Because of the way I was raised. I didn't know anything else. Nobody taught me anything else. So I had to learn that money wasn't everything. But when people say money doesn't buy happiness, that's where people are wrong. Because happiness is existent within you. Money just gives you the ability to express your happiness in bigger ways. And this is why people need to understand that money's not evil. One famous quote that I've always loved reading is, if you were a dick before money, you're going to be a dick after money. And this is why I keep it straight up and very authentic. I don't cut out the words. I say it how it is, because I've learned from my trials and tribulations. And my hope here is to really educate everybody through my life, through my mistakes, through my ups and downs, because at the end of the day, I can take people looking at me and taking their judgments, but it gives them a perspective to look at themselves. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I don't care what people think about me. I really don't. You could be my wife, you could be my mother, you could be anybody. At the end of the day, I know who I am on a soul level, and I know that I'm here creating a bigger journey, that I've never experienced. And most of us actually are, and that's why, all of us that are currently existed in this world are really looking at the fact that if you look at everything that's going on with all the freedom, with people coming together, things getting exposed, if you really look at this, it shows at 100%. This is why we all signed up to come to Earth, because we are experiencing the biggest shift in humanity. And speaking of the biggest shift in humanity, you may also be going through the biggest shift in your life. And this is why I wanted to start the series called Get to Know Me, because in order to transition to this new world that we're entering, we need to understand that we can't take the old version of who we were into this new world. Because if we take the old version of who we were into this new world, what's going to happen is the same occurrences are going to keep coming and coming and coming until we learn how to change our insides. And so here's the truth. How do we do that? Well, you take a look at your life. You start from your past. Yes, your past is your past. But what you need to understand is you need to start making peace with your past, because guess what? You're not a perfect human being. I'm not a perfect human being. We've made our mistakes. We've made our lessons. But if you don't learn from your lessons, if you don't take a moment to look back at the lessons that you've been taught in life and say, okay, what was I needing to learn from this? Or what did I want to learn from this? Or what do I need to learn from this? If you don't do this for yourself, it's going to happen in a dramatic way. And typically, when I mean in a dramatic way, it's a very negative way. Somebody leaves our life. There's a lot of talk about, like, how do we live life? How do we do this? How do we do that? There's no guidebook on how to live life. You got to learn how to walk. That's the first and most important thing. Even as a child, you learn how to walk, right? So there is no difference when you become an adult and you're walking into things that scare the shit out of you, or that things that may cause your heartbeat to fucking beat a little bit faster. And here's the truth. You got to learn how to walk through that and not judge yourself, because you're human. You're meant to make wrongs. You're meant to make rights. But guess what? They're not meant to hold you down. They're not meant to raise you up. You got to know internally where you're heading. Because if you don't have an internal guidance of where you're going in life, you're always just going to be going like Tasmanian devil, like over here, over here, over here, over here, over there. Like, it doesn't work. Like, that's what life happens. That's emotionally, that's what starts to happen internally, but also on a mental level. And when this starts happening on a mental level, this is where we start really getting depressed, or this is where we start really beating ourselves down. And again, with this series, Get to Know Me, I want to expose my past. I want to expose the present. I want to expose the future, because I want people to understand that you can live through me, because I'm going to commit those mistakes. I'm going to commit the wrongs and the rights, because at the end of the day, again, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Yes, does it bring me down eventually? Of course. Like recently, I had to cut out my best friend. And this was my best friend from kindergarten. Her and I, we've always had a great relationship throughout our lives. And, it was a really tough thing to do, because she's never done me wrong. I've never done her wrong. We were friends for, 18 years. And up until 18 years, the hardest part was her and I had tried experimenting sexually, because, we were such good friends for such a long time. We had such a strong bond. We were like, maybe we should try to see if we wanted to date, blah, 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 blah. So we experimented. This was years ago. Today, in the present moment, today in the very, very, very present moment, it showed up. It showed up through her boyfriend getting his jealousy towards me and stuff like this. And it sucked, because, again, this is my past coming to where I am presently. Now, it's not that I made my mistakes in my past. But here's the thing. I had to acknowledge that what once happened was gone. I moved on. But somebody had toxic masculinity that wanted to bring it back into the present moment. And so this is why it was one of the hardest things that I actually had to deal with this week, was letting go of my old best friend. My best friend, my very first best friend from JK. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I got teary. I got hurt. I was a little messed up because, you know what? I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve that, especially from my best friend. I didn't deserve that from her mans. And guess what? This is part of growing. This is part of growing who you are. And it's, again, with this series called Get to Know Me, I really want people, sorry guys, I'm like playing around my screen here. In this series, Get to Know Me, this is why I want to expose these things. I want to talk about these things because I want people to honestly be able to live through my vulnerability, because at the end of the day, it's a scary thing to be vulnerable. It's a scary thing to be vulnerable on social media. It's scary to be vulnerable at home, right? And I want to make this a new normal. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to go through days that you just really hate life. It's okay to not be okay. Let's make that okay. Because in this world, when we look at social media in terms of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we always see all the good things, but nobody ever shows us the truth. Nobody ever shows us, hey, you know what? The other day I cried because I had to let go of my fucking best friend from JK. Nobody tells you these things. And why? Because we have an ego. And it's funny because in this life, when we decide to come into this life, we have our spirit that came in, and then we have our ego. And then everything in between is exactly what you see. It's you. It's merging the two into who you are today. And a lot of people want their ego to run their life. And that's not what life is about. You got to learn how to tell the ego that, hey, you're not in control. You're a part of my life, but you are not in control. The ego does not control you. And this is the beautiful thing, is that there's so many new people, so many new earth warriors, or earth light workers, people that are bringing this up to the page, up to the surface, to realize that it's time to change. And the reason why we're calling for change, the reason why we're saying it's time for change, because we can't keep living the way that we've been living for the past 100,000 years. Like, it's just crazy that hurt people want to continue to hurt people. And so in this series, Get to Know Me, this is why I want to expose my vulnerability. This is why I want to expose the truth in everything that I've done, and allow you guys to learn through me, because again, I don't care what people think. I really don't. Eventually, yes, does it eat up me? Yeah. But then I have those reminders. I have reminders on my arms. I have reminders here. I have reminders everywhere in my life to say, hey, it's all right. It's all right that people are going to judge you. It's all right that people are going to make fun of you. It's all right. I used to be the laughing stock for standing up for the right people. I honestly, people used to pick on me because I stood up for somebody else. I'll tell you a great story back in high school. Back in high school, I had a great friend named Paulo. And Paulo was, a 5'2", stocky Italian guy, very strong. And there was a guy named Mark who honestly just thought he was, the tough guy, or whatever he thought it was. Thanks, Melanie. And the truth is he wanted to take his internal problems and put it on to somebody else. So I stood up for him. One day we were walking in the hallway, and my friend Paulo comes up to me and he's like all angry. He's like, fuck this. And I'm like, yo, dude, what the hell's going on with you? And he starts explaining to me what's going on, how this guy Mark is starting to push him around in the hallways. And I was like, all right, dude, we're going to deal with this like, good people. Like, we're not going to cause a problem. We're not going to cause a fight. So let's go to, we had gym class right after lunch. And so we started going to class, and lo and behold, that guy Mark is coming down the hallway. So I tell my friend Paulo, let's move to the side so we can avoid his contact, because we don't need it, right? And here's the truth. As Mark was coming down the hallway and he starts to see where we are, he goes from one side of the hallway and transitions over just to give us one of these, a shoulder shrug. And so as I noticed this, that's when I grabbed my two hands, grabbed him, and put him up against the locker. And I said to him, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What is your issue? Why are you trying to be a tough guy? Because at the end of the day, when you try to be a tough guy, there's always going to be somebody who's tougher than you are. And this is the truth. He had something internally going on in his life that he wanted to project onto others. But from this moment on, Paulo never got picked on. From this moment on, I had to take the battle. So from that day on until like 2 weeks, probably up until 2 weeks, he was doing it consistently, where he was just picking on me. And then one day, after being down so many times, that's where I rose up, and, I had to let it out in the middle of school, in the hallways. I looked at him and I was like, you got an effing problem? What's your problem? And like, I really reacted in an old negative way. But I had to react in that way because, I got so fed up of like being picked on that I didn't know what to do. There wasn't teachers, there wasn't people that I could go to. I had to deal with that. And so I did. And at the end of the day, the more I gave it fuel by paying attention to it, again, what you think about, you bring about, and what you put your focus on, that's what your life becomes. So if you're focusing on the negative or the positive, it doesn't matter which one is right or wrong. But if you're deciding to focus on the negative, that's all that's going to come into your life. And so one of the big lessons that I learned at that young age was, hey, if I feed into this guy's fire with my fire, because inside, internally, I was angry. I did the right thing. I stood up for a friend. All I wanted was my friend not to be picked on no more. Why am I getting picked on? And that's just because humanity does not like to see other people do good. Humanity does not care if other people are doing good, because there's a whole lot more negative energy that want to bring you back. Because people get obsessed with seeing somebody doing well and get mad at themselves, and so they start portraying their negative insights internally out externally. And this is why you cannot worry about what people say or what people do, because people are always going to talk. People are always going to move in their direction. And this is why you got to worry about your journey and where you're heading into in life. Because from my past, I've made my mistakes. I wasn't the best man to all my girlfriends. One of my hardest stories was my second girlfriend in high school, who was absolutely such a sweet, innocent girl. I felt terrible for her because, mentally I wasn't going through a good time. I was going through the loss of the divorce of my parents. I had a lot of things, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm just painting the picture so that people understand where negative emotions come from, or where negative traits come from, because we're not negative people. We were born from love. We came from love, and we will always go back to love. And along the way of that process, life starts to shape us. But when life starts to shape us, it's our hands that are in that life that is making that shape the way we want it, because we have to take responsibility. Just like I'm taking responsibility now and way before when for the situation that I treated my second girlfriend poorly, who never needed it. And there was a lot of situations where I was very toxic. And it hurt me. And it hurt me a lot because it's not who I am. But at that time, I didn't know any better. And it really made me feel insecure for a very long time, realizing I had to acknowledge this. This was probably last March, over a year ago. I had to reach out to her, and I was like, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm so sorry about everything I've ever done in my life towards you, because and it's not like, hey, trust me, I've heard a lot of worse stories, but it doesn't matter. At that time, that pain that I was causing her, nobody else caused. And so this is why it's good to look back. It's good to look back and learn from what you've done as decisions, what you've done in life, so that you can educate yourself. And by educating yourself, you become a better man, a better female, a better soul, a better person. Everything, I truly believe that everything we have in life is here to teach us something. My dog that's completely like passed out with his legs like, hey Simba. Yeah, you guys see his head moving? The truth is, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but what I was talking about was you have to learn through your mistakes. You have to learn through your goods because it's going to shape you to the person that you want to become. The reason why we have certain parents that are abusive or this or that is because we want to be able to look at those things and be like, I don't want to do this because I've seen the pain it hurts or that it causes. At home, my dad was never the best man to my mom. And that's why I grew up such a mama's boy because, you know, I felt sorry a lot of the times that my mom was going through these things. And like, you know, back in the day it was a lot different, but like my mom couldn't wear a skirt. My mom couldn't go out. She couldn't talk to people. Like it was like she was locked up. And that's because of his toxic masculinity, his insecurities, because of what he had done in his past lives or what he had done in his life that caused him to blame her and get mad at her for little things that she was just trying to do, which was enjoy life. And this is, again, when you're able to look back, take these lessons and analyze them, understand them, because it's not you that's doing it. But even if it is you that was doing it, again, take away the judgment, learn from it, and be able to excel from that point on. Because the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. Now, the dictionary version, it's called it's a mental disease or like whatever. Like I don't give a shit about the fucking dictionary. The dictionary is made up. Anyways, at the end of the day, this is what I'm telling you guys: is that everything in life, dogs, cats, trees, life in general, you can learn from everything. A dog, what does a dog teach people? Unconditional love. A dog will love you no matter if you feed it or don't feed it. I think it would be a lot happier if you decided to feed the dog, but the concept is there. The concept that that dog is here to show you what love looks like. Because it doesn't say your name, it doesn't speak your language, it doesn't understand what we're saying, but the dog will come and show you love. And this is one thing that, I'm not saying that we're all just going to start running up to people and hugging people. No, everything takes time, but the truth is like we have these things in our life to teach us. Trees, an example, what's the benefits of learning about trees, right? Well, we can learn that trees, no matter what the weather is, no matter what the season is, they will stand strong. And my cat's kind of meowing, so if you guys hear that, it's just my little all over. But trees stand strong no matter what nature throws at trees, because it goes through the 4 seasons: winter, summer, spring, and fall. And so what people gotta understand is look at little things in life, or look at things in life and understand why they're here. Because once you start doing this, you can start relating it to your life. Why have you been so strong for 20 something years in your life? Why have you broken down yourself so much the way that you have in your past? Why did I push myself through my depression? Why did I get myself there? Because I had to learn the lessons, and I was fortunate enough that the mistakes or challenges or the lessons that I had to go through never ended me completely, because here I am today making a stand saying, I don't care what anybody says. I'm doing me, and me doing me is the best thing I could have ever done, because nobody in this life will ever give you the opportunity to be the best version of yourself other than yourself. And that's the beauty. So on this series, Get to Know Me, I'm going to end it here. So thank you for tuning in. If you do catch this replay, this is just episode 2. And again, I'm just getting better with everything that I'm saying. I'm getting more organized with this because I really want to be able to have people watch and really learn from these lessons. So thank you as always for tuning in on this episode of episode 2 of Get to Know Me. And you know what? Peace, love, namaste, and keep on shining. Because at the end of the day, you are not living this life for anybody else but you. So make the best of it. Peace.